Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Joe Daddy's Garage. It is Monday, April 3rd, 2023. April's here. I have a lot of work to do. Hope everybody's doing well. I hope you've been following along with all the videos and various other social media that I've been posting stuff, of course, on Facebook and TikTok and Instagram and wherever else I can put this stuff out there. Um, it's good to have that release of information so people can see the kind of stuff that I'm working on. I know that the main thing, of course, is I'm known for Mustangs and stuff like that, but I'm getting stuff done on the Bronco, and I look forward to getting paint completed on the Bronco because I'm running out of time. Be quite honest. I know that the deadline will say I know sometime around the 21st. I think that I have to have everything together and ready to go, type of deal. So, as you've already seen, what you saw in the picture on the front there, I got the tailgate painted. The hood is painted, and of course the cowl and that sort of thing on the body itself. Now, there's still a lot to do as far as the way I look at things, um, because for some reason people think I'm pretty meticulous in the stuff that I do, and whenever I am trying to prep things or fit stuff together or those sort of things, I tend to try to think probably 3 or 4 steps ahead, so that whenever it comes time for this piece to go with that piece, they're there, and I don't have to backtrack. You all know what I'm talking about, I mentioned it before. Like I said, in military stuff we did, they would say, test us, and they say, sequence is scored. So there is a process to all this. Now, granted, there's other ways to do it, but I'm just set in kind of how I do things. So anyway, but I'm really happy with the results of the tailgate in particular. Now, the hood does have some particulate on top of it, and I had an issue with a bug that got on it, and it left a mess. It left a bit of a mess. So what I may end up doing on that, I may actually sand it, get it all smooth again, and put what would maybe a flow coat of clear on top of that, and try to be a little more proactive in keeping down any kind of dust. So there's a few things I want to talk about with that as well, as far as dust, and maybe some ways that it can be addressed, and we'll discuss that in just a minute. But I'm happy you're here. If you would, if you're watching, you want to join the live stream. I have it set up to where subscribers only can comment. That's just the way it is. We've had problems in the past with people being fools and trying to ruin it for everybody, so I set it up for subscribers only. And don't forget to hit that like and thumbs up button. That's pretty important because YouTube monitors that and encourages other people to watch and get involved when they see people liking stuff. So, same thing with the videos. Same thing with the videos. Got to hit those like button, and comments always help. So, anyway, we'll see who's here tonight and see what we can talk about. First in is Rick Gain. Nice 64 degrees and sunny in New Jersey. Hope all are well. Hit like and thumbs up. Yes, definitely do that. Glad you're here, Rick. We have another Rick, Rick Stevenson. Good evening, everyone. 82 and cloudy here in Jacksonville. Coffee time. Thank you, Rick. Glad you're here. Mikey, Mr. Mikey, thermostat says 93 degrees south of San Antonio. Greetings. Well, it's not that temperature here, I can tell you that. It's currently around 60 degrees. Didn't get really warm most of the day. It just was kind of ugly out. So 60 degrees. I actually have the heater on because I don't like to be cold. So glad you're here, Mr. Mikey. Steve Grimes, good evening, gang, from 70 degrees South Central PA. Glad you're here, Steve. Troy Justin, good evening from a gloomy but warm coastal Georgia. I wasn't sure about the color on the Bronco, but now I like it. You just have to see to believe. Yes, very accurate. I was kind of the same way. I mean, I wasn't against the color because I am a fan of green. We know that. Not blue. Well, I like blue too, but aqua, technically, I think is green. Um, but I was when I had it on the spray out card, that I have here, doesn't look the same without clear coat. It gives you a good idea of it, but it just doesn't look the same without clear coat on it. And man, it just pops. Well, like, especially when you get the sun on it, really nice. So glad you like it, Troy, and glad you're here. I don't know if I gave you a bell. Here's a bell. Have an extra. Dave Tyson, good evening. 34 and more snow overnight. No, thank you, but I'm glad you're here. Speaking of, I know we had some storms come through this over the weekend, and obviously, I know that Indiana got hit hard with tornadoes, and a variety of other places got hit pretty hard with tornadoes and loss of life, and I mean just devastating. It really is, and I hate to see that. I hate to even see that on the news that people are dying from something they have no control over. In this case, we did have a tornado warning here. Whenever they have, we actually had phone alerts pop up, and we had the sirens, the wailing sirens, and it got kind of sketchy here. I think it was Saturday, and you looked outside, and the clouds looked like they were ready to just do their thing and cause damage. And all of a sudden, it was just like it moved on. It went on. Now, there may be some damage around us close by, but what was really kind of startling was we were as in the middle of this. My wife's looking out the front window of her house. I'm looking out the back. We're trying to see if there's anything starting to fly through the air or anything, and it calmed down. And as I was standing in our sunroom area, all of a sudden I saw and heard a flash of lightning. Like normally, if I remember correctly, if you see a flash of lightning and then you hear the sound, you can count so many seconds, and it tells you how far away, basically how far away that lightning is. Based on the flash and the sound coming, secondary. This was instantaneous. I mean, it was a boom, and it felt like it was right outside the back of our sunroom. And at the same time, we heard this snap in our computer room. Power didn't go out, nothing died, but all of a sudden the Wi-Fi was gone. And yeah, it cooked the router internally. Thankfully, it didn't cause any damage to anything else, computers or anything. But yeah, it was quick and scary. You know how lightning is. There's no hiding from it. It's coming close to you. You'll know it. So anyway, you can have the snow. I don't want any snow. Thank you, Dave. Roger checking in. Greetings from next door. Glad you're here, Raj. Tommy checking in from wet Birmingham. Yeah, I'm sure it's raining over there. Glad you're here, Tommy. Nandu. Good evening, all. Nice weather today here in PA. Hope everyone had a great weekend. Had a productive weekend. I'll say that. Bob Shoemaker, evening all from Oklahoma. 84 here with Stillwater, making it to 92. Stillwater? I don't know what that means. But I'll give you a bell anyway. Glad you're here, Bob. Terry Keithley, evening all. And Barry, please hit the like and thumbs up. Thank you kindly. Thank you, Terry. 68 Orange Trade. Howdy, folks, from Houston. Glad you're here. Let's see. Steve's Money Pit. Hello, Barry. Let's talk food. Ooh, I just had some spaghetti. I don't know if that counts. It was good. It was good. We had some spaghetti. So, glad you're here. Steve. Brady, 32 and snowing in central Idaho. I need summer. Yes, it's coming. It's coming. Glad you're here, Brady. Crash Rider, greetings from... he got cut off. I'm pretty sure Indiana. Yeah, we'll go back up. I found him in lower. Greetings from southern Indiana, everyone. The Bronco's going to be one snazzy ride. Too bad it is going to be used off-road and subjected to all of the hazards. Be sure to hit the like button. Yes, thank you, Crash Rider. We'll go back up here a second. Rick, I'm surprised the bugs will go near the paint with all the fumes. You know, it's amazing. It is amazing how many bugs are addicted to paint fumes. And they must love it. They really must. In fact, what I did this last time when I painted the tailgate, and this may sound crazy, and anybody who's dealt with the bugs and stuff will probably recognize that this may or may not be a good idea. I go around the perimeter of my door and my windows and the paint booth door, and I spray bug spray. I put it all the way around in the effort to keep them away from those areas. And I did what I did on this the last go round. I opened up the windows that are on this side of my garage, and I have screens in there. So that was my air intake, and then of course goes out through the door and out the booth. And still, there was I know one bug in particular got onto the tailgate. Thankfully, it was after I'd sprayed my first heavy round of clear, and I have a little I don't know what they call it. It's like a little stick with a burr on the end of it, and it's made for this purpose. And you can dig in and pull stuff like that out. And I pulled that thing out, so it didn't leave any trace. So that was a good thing. But yeah, they love that stuff. They just go, oh look, fumes. They get high and then they pass out and become part of the paint job. Richard, greetings from Hernando, Florida. Balmy 87 degrees. Okay, well that is balmy. We're not getting that right now. In fact, I think tomorrow we're supposed to get some nice warmer weather. They're showing a high of 82, 86 on Wednesday, 84 on Thursday. And then it's just going to be down into the 50s on Saturday and Sunday again, which isn't helpful. Isn't helpful to my goal. Not making it easy for me. But glad you're here. Dave Conwell, good evening, Barry. Beautiful work on the Bronco, but I've got to digest that particular green for a bit. Okay, you can. You can. You'll get used to it. Glad you're here. Troy, my daughter lives in Little Rock, and the tornado hit 300 yards from her house. Her house is okay, but the street above her is messed up. Still no power, though. Well, I'm glad she's safe. And I know that I saw a video earlier today that it was on TikTok, and it was this guy. What got my attention was in this video he has I'm pretty sure it was a '68 Mustang. Yeah, and he's standing outside. I don't know where this was filmed, and he's standing outside of his house or building, and you can see these trees in the background, and you see like a little storage shed, and he says, "Yeah, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming," and then he ducks into his garage, and you see that his camera turns, and there's a black '68 Mustang. Looks really nice, and he turns and he ducks into this almost like a hallway. That tornado hit almost literally right outside the door of his building, whatever he was in. What was crazy about it was, first of all, he's got the door open and he's filming with his phone, but you see all of this stuff get sucked out of the house or out of the building, going down that little hallway and out of the building. And then all of a sudden, this Jeep shows up. And I mean, it just shows up outside the door. You just see it with his phone. He's like, well, there goes my Jeep. And apparently it was like a Jeep Compass or something. But it had been parked somewhere else, and it showed up right outside the door of his garage, and then the storm was, the tornado was gone. So he steps outside, and he turns and looks. He says, "Look at that!" And beside the Mustang, the wall was gone, and there were trees in that room right next to the Mustang. So it had to have gotten hit. And then he steps outside, and you see his little Jeep, and at least one of the windows was gone. And then he turns, and everything that was there before is gone. There are just stumps of trees right outside where he was standing. It was scary as could be. I can't imagine. He talked through the whole thing. Yep, there it goes. There it goes. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? You're crazy. So I know there's all kinds of footage like that out there. But man, I don't want a tornado. I don't want to be close to one. No thanks. Okay. Terry Keithley just had a mess of liver and onions. Yummy. Yes. I'm all for that. I'm all for that. Battery burnout. Hey Barry, I took a break from wet sanding to join. I buffed out one quarter panel to a blue mirror. Awesome. Mr. Mikey, chicken fajita tacos here with all the trimmings. That sounds good. I would be into that. Simone checking in. Hi Barry and all. Glad you're here, Simone. Jack. Hey Barry, Bronco is looking awesome. Thanks, sir. Glad you're here. Haven't seen you in a while. Battery burnout bugs in paint. Yep, I used to spray outside and I always had one bug stick in the paint. After wet sanding buffing, it was permanent. It became my signature. Well, as I'm looking for ideas into how to address dust nibs or issues, right? I went online and looking at different things, I found a product that I was interested in, but not as interested in the price. Mirka, which is a product that I use, Mirka sanding discs, and I use Mirka Scotch-Brite pads and stuff like that. I like their products. They have a tool, I think it's called the Shark Tooth. Maybe you've seen it, maybe you haven't. It's, I think it's carbon steel. I think it's what it said on it. Carbon steel, I think. And it looks like just a little wedge type of shape. Well, I was looking at that. I saw a demonstration on Instagram. In fact, there's a guy I follow, Lang's shop. If you haven't, he's up in Canada, I think, and he was doing a demonstration on this thing. And basically, it's like a plane, like a little metal block that you can plane off material. And so I was looking at that. I'm thinking, man, they wanted $80 for this thing, and I'm like, it's just a piece of metal. It's not like it's made out of gold or something. It's just a piece of metal. And so it helps when you have a neighbor who is a machinist and tool maker. So I sent him a link. I sent Roger a link, and I said, hey, take a look at this and see what you think. And he was like, yeah, I can make that. So I'm going to show you these because through the wonders of the internet, technology, and tooling, I got 3 of these now. Now, if Roger can correct me, I think he said this is 4140 steel, so it can corrode, but it is square. Like these edges are super square. So he made 3 of them because we weren't sure about the size. This one's pretty big, and then this one and this one. Now I've used this little one, and it's really hard to. I don't know if you can see just how squared off that edge is, but if you ever used a wood plane, and you're planing off the edge of wood. You've got like a high spot or something, and you can run that plane across, and it takes it down. That's basically what these do. Now, I like it. What I've been doing is knocking off the dust nibs, and it's working. It's working. However, there are other products out there. And let me just show you another product. I bought this thing on a whim. It was on Amazon, and I saw this product, and I thought, you know what, that might work too. Let me try that. So I'll just tell you, this is from Air Vantage. Came in this little packet. Hand denibbing tool. This was $30, and I thought, I'm going to try it because it has a file function. Basically, I don't know, you can't really probably see it very well, but it has like this file, and you can turn this thing over. It's got one side's a little bit rougher than the other, but I like this handle. I thought that was cool. Well, I got it out of the package, and I went over to the hood, and I was like, let me just try it, just a little. I'm going to say no. Just telling you, I'm going to say no. I used this. I went over top of the dust nibs, just a couple of them, and I don't think it would cause that much of a problem, but it was actually scratching the paint. Whereas this just rode on top of it. It didn't dig in. It didn't cause any problems. So I like the tooling piece versus this file. Now this is meant to be to do runs or do dust nibs or whatever. But when I was using it, just barely even rubbing on it, it was actually scratching the paint. Not a fan. Not a fan. So that's probably going to have to be sent back. Get my money back off of that. Um, the other thing I was looking at is there's a product by 3M. There's a combination thing. There is a what do they call it? Paint defect removal kit. Now, what it is, just to give you perspective, something along this shape or this size, let's say, this little handheld deal, and they sell these little sanding discs with it. I think 1,500, 2,000, 3,000 grit. I like the idea. I really do. Basically, you can just sand on top of the defect, and you could swap out the pads. I like that idea, but I don't like the price. They have it on Amazon. It's $125 for that kit, and it looks like you get 2 or 3 little rubber blocks and a bunch of little sanding discs. I'm like, I don't see where that works out. I don't see it. But anyway, if anybody's ever used one of those, let me know what you think. But I'm looking at different ideas. I always want to learn. I always want to try to experiment and grow my knowledge of this stuff. So anyway, let's move on. Ray Buckman. Good evening, Barry and folks. Glad you're here, Ray. Simone. Barry, I just had my birthday. Well, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Simone. Happy birthday to you. That's all I'm going to sing. Sorry. But happy birthday. Is it still April 3rd there? Yes, it is. Matter of fact, for another 4.5 hours. Michael Pagliarini. Hello, all. Just getting back into the garage for some therapy. Awesome. Denny Alvey. Good evening. Bronco is looking awesome. Thank you, Denny. Simone says Bronco color is nice. Thank you. And Denny Steck makes a nice paint file. Great for nibbing before cut and buff. Okay. Well, I don't know if there was other products out there that looked very similar to this. In fact, there's a Mirka one out there. But I don't want to create more issues. I'm trying to minimize the issues as much as I can. Jack, what's next after the Jolly Rancher is gone? I'll be back on the Cobra Jet. That's going to be the focus at that point. There are more parts coming. In fact, they may be coming tomorrow. So I have to schedule that. The owner has ordered the side pieces that we need, and I think both doors, a quarter panel, a lot of pieces, big pieces. So those should be coming. I think they're supposed to be delivered tomorrow. I guess I'll find out. But yeah, that'll be the next thing up is the back to the Cobra Jet. So the timeline for the Bronco is critical. I'm thinking it's the 21st. For some reason, I think that's the schedule. The 21st being a Friday. So it may have to actually be done on like the 19th. It may have to be the 19th. So, Brady, how far are you taking the Cobra Jet? Well, that's a good question. The intent at this point is to just do all of the metal work. Maybe get it into epoxy. That's the short-term goal. Now, I don't know that I want to do any more past that, but we'll talk about it, me and the owner, and see what we come up with. I do have other projects that are lining up that need attention, and so, as you know, I already have 3 other Mustangs sitting here of my own that I need to get do something with. And I have another project that is it's probably 75% likelihood that I will be doing it. The gentleman contacted me that wants me to basically build a '66 Mustang Fastback with the intent of it going onto his race chassis. And he doesn't want to start with a rusty car. I understand that. He wants to start with a fresh car, but he wants me to build it with no floor pan. And basically, it would be the outer rockers, the doors, no fenders. He doesn't want any fenders on it. He doesn't. I don't think he wants any of the aprons or anything. It would just be from the firewall back that he wants me to build. So I am considering doing that, and I think that would be kind of an interesting build as well, because you're not building the whole thing. You have to kind of create a structure to build to it, or build it to, I should say. So anyway, that's where we're at with that. Simone, I attended a big car show last weekend. Can I send some photos of the stand I was on? I was compromised as I drove 250 miles at 55 miles per hour. Very long drive. Yeah, sure. I got my email. Send the pictures. I think you still have my email. I'll put it at the bottom here if you don't have it. JoeDaddy'sGarage@gmail.com. So you can go ahead and send those. We'll take a look at them. Rick, why the hard deadline on the Bronco? You aren't Gas Monkey Garage. You're right. And the intent of the Bronco, whenever I took it on, was to actually have it done probably before the end of the year of last year, roughly, maybe January. But weather conditions didn't help out, obviously. And then the owner, he actually lives in Colorado, and he wants to take, I think, in the weekend of the 21st, up in Nashville. I think there's an event called Bronco Fest, and I know he wants to. He has his truck and trailer here, and he plans to go to Bronco Fest. And I think what he wants to do is get here, pick up his truck, trailer, and Bronco, and take it up to Bronco Fest. Now, does he want to display it? I don't know, but that's the plan. Is he wants to take it to Bronco Fest? I think. So I don't really know for sure, but I think that's the plan. Okay, I'm downloading a few pictures here from Simone. So give me just a second. She has sent her pictures. What I have to do is go back in and delete some stuff, as I always forget to do that until actual broadcast day. So one more, make sure I get enough space, and then I'll download those pictures. But anyway, so I still want to stick to his timeline for the Bronco. I want to make sure that everything works out, because I know he's flying out here, and I don't want to have him held up by any means with the process. I want to make sure you get everything taken care of. Okay, so I'm going to go back here. Now, Simona said she attended a big car show. Sent some photos of the stand I was on. So, first of all, let me show you. That's Simone's car. That's TC. And then I guess this is another Cortina that was in the same area, and looks like a highly redone Cortina. by my guesstimation there. That has a very similar green to what's on the Bronco. Interesting. And then a group shot. That's pretty cool. That's actually pretty cool to see those all together like that. And Simone has the only wagon. So that's pretty cool. Let's see. Simone says, I met 6 YouTubers and was also interviewed 2 for their channels. A very cool show. Awesome. Well, good for you. Maybe I'll get you some more viewers too. And brown car is called Papa. Green is a facelift. What does that mean? Let me say it's a facelift. Is that because... Okay, so these have the round headlights. Your car and that brown one, but the green one has the rectangular headlights. So I'm guessing that's what you mean by the facelift. Oh, green is a wagon too. Oh, okay. I can't tell from the pictures. At least I can't. Yeah, people blocking the view there. Can't quite make that out. So cool stuff. Okay, so let's get back to where we're at. I've got this. I don't even know. You know, with grandkids and stuff, they share germs with you, and so I feel like every week I've got some new cold coming on that I can't get rid of. Fun, but I wouldn't trade the grandkids for anything. You're welcome, Simone. Okay, so I talked about the scraper blocks or the steel tooling and the file thing that I'm probably going to send back. There was something else that I wanted to mention. Oh, I don't know how many of y'all do, what kind of, prep work you do or any kind of paint work and stuff like that. But, these little pads, I think this was actually, I think it was a Meguiar's pad at one point. This is a softer pad, so you can get into little tight radiuses and stuff without digging in. And that's handy to have. A lot, even on a curve, sometimes it's good to sand with that. But probably one of my favorite pads to use is what we call a taco pad. And literally it's the shape of a taco. And it's a Velcro pad that you can take your sanding disc and put on. And, you fold it over on itself, and you got a nice little smooth curve on one end. And then, of course, you can use the edges, whatever. But let me tell you, these are very handy. But what's not very handy is when you can't find it. I think we're all guilty of this. This taco pad, if I have one of these, now look, here's the thing. I'll use my 400 discs and I'll fold it over because I want an edge, right? Well, there's another one. So you lay all these in a pile. Which one is the taco pad? I spent 2 days looking for this thing because yeah. So that's no fun. But that's the kind of thing you run into whenever you're doing this stuff, is you got to keep track of everything. Because if you don't, you'll waste a lot of time looking around. Ontario, the CJ parts coming by balloon. They shouldn't be. I hope not. They should be here. The shipment was supposed to go out Friday, I think. And then it's supposed to show up tomorrow. I have not gotten an email yet or a phone call of them saying it's coming. But it should be here tomorrow. Supposedly. Oh, that was the other thing. I picked up something else when I was went to Harbor Freight this past week. I talked before about the idea of moving stuff around in the shop with either a tractor or something. If I wanted to pull a trailer out or move a vehicle and push it or pull it, and for the most part, it's kind of a hand thing. Roger helps me out a lot of times. We get to push something around and try to manipulate it and get it where it goes. But I realized with the Bronco, because a Bronco is a very heavy vehicle. A lot of people don't realize that. That thing is a beast of a machine, very heavy. And so when we pushed it back there, it was me and Roger and my two sons were here, thankfully, and we were able to push it in. And I talked about the idea of using a tractor, maybe with a tow bar, to push vehicles around, which probably will still happen. But then I talked about putting a winch in the paint booth that I could pull the vehicle straight in once I get them lined up. Because I get to thinking about it a little more. If I take a tractor and I do have, let's say I have a push bar or something, well, that's all well and good as long as I have somebody else to steer it. But if I don't, it'll be get on the tractor, push, turn the wheel, blah, 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 back and forth. So I thought, I'll go ahead and do the winch. Because if I need to, I can pull and then stop, turn the wheel, get it lined up, whatever. So I went to Harbor Freight. They had a sale this past week. You know how it is. They always have their coupons and junk. And they had this. This is the Badland winch that I talked about. 2,500, blah, blah, blah. And I picked this up, and I picked up this little bracket. Bracket was $5. Can't beat that. But now I just have to come up with how I want to mount it to the floor. I don't think I'm going to get overly crazy with it. I don't want to mount this plate permanently. It'll have to be something that I think if I have even just some posts sticking up, some threaded rod or something, I can probably either use this bracket and run some nuts on it, just enough to hold it in place. But I'm really looking forward to getting this set up and making it do work for me. Because, if it gets to the point where I have to move something, I need to move it. I can't just assume people have the free time that I could say, hey, you got a minute. But I do appreciate it when I do get help, and Roger helps me a lot, so I really do appreciate that. Let's see. Dawn's Manufacturer. Hello, folks from hailing, snowing, raining, 38-degree Portland. Well, glad to hear, Dawn. And you can keep that weather. I'm not interested. Hope everything is okay out there, though. I see that Dawn has asked me a question, and I just noticed that he says if that winch has a remote, you could sit in the car while winching. I just noticed. Guess what? It does. It's got a wireless key fob looking thing. Yeah. Even better. So I'll have to get that open and get that mounted up. Let's see. Lynn, with CJ Pony, you have to check your account for delivery details. They don't send push emails on your delivery. Yeah, this isn't coming through CJ Pony though. This is these are parts coming from a Dynacorn dealer. So I know they're coming out of Pennsylvania. That's as much as I know. And the receipt that I saw said the 4th. I hope they call me because they can't come down my street if they're driving a semi. No turnaround. Jonathan. Hello, guys. Hello, Jonathan. You had the Bronco questions last week, if I remember correctly. Glad you're here. Let's see. Simone, we had a rather sunny day here in the UK. Summer is finally on the way. Cool. That's a good thing. Jack W., run some lead anchors into the floor that you can thread some bolts in. Easy removal so you don't trip over it. Okay. Yeah, I'll probably have to just... Yeah, that's simple enough. But yeah, that's a good idea. Thank you, Jack. Oh, that's the other thing. I was like, there was something else that I wanted to bring up. Okay, You probably saw last fall, I did a video on the putting a car cover on the Mustang. And I ordered this car cover. It was carcover.com, right? And I ordered from them, and they sent me this car cover, and they I use it and I like it. It did a good job for covering the Mustang, keeping it safe. And so I signed up, or tried to sign up, for their affiliate program. I wanted to help out, get people involved if they want to order a car cover. And it took a while, but they finally approved my my application, let's say, to be an affiliate. And recently, I had an email. I don't know who the person is. It could be anybody in the industry, I guess. I don't know what their status is. But he has asked me if I would be interested in making another video. And so, okay, so yeah. Anyway, he suggested that I get another car cover, do another video. And he kind of wanted me to do like a, I don't know, and I hate to use this term, but like clickbait type of thing. I don't do that. I can't do that. I'm not geared for that. But we were in discussion over this, and he wants to send me a car cover and wants me to do another video and do a giveaway. And this is the kind of thing that I've been trying to get other companies to do. When I have somebody who has a product line that they want me to get involved in, I'm like, help me help other people. If I can give away a product, that's much better than just showing you the product and then hoping they go buy it. So what I'm going to do, in fact, it's already being shipped. I had them, they're going to send me a car cover for my Model A, which is great because it's always getting dust and, just sitting in a garage gathering dust. So they're sending me a car cover for that. And basically what I'm going to do is it will be kind of I'm not going to say infomercial, but it's going to be like, hey, I wish I had a car cover for this Model A, like I had one for the Mustang. I'm going to check with carcover.com and see if they have it. And then I will go through some sort of a navigation process, I think, or showing their website. And basically, then I'll show the car cover and put it on. And in that action, I'm going to say, by the way, if you're interested, you can get a free car cover. Now, we're going to have a drawing, and it'll be similar to the other drawings that I've done in the past. And there will be requirements for the process. So people will have to like the video and leave a comment. And basically, after a period of time, whether it's a week or so, whatever I come up with, then I will do a drawing. I'll get the information from whoever wins, send that to the car company or the car cover company, and they will send a car cover. So, just letting you know, that'll be coming out probably in the next 2-3 weeks. And if you're interested in that, the procedure. So, now you know. I think it's a great idea. This is something I've wanted to do, and I wish more companies would work with me on that. Because like these battery jump starters and stuff, and I really like them. And I've tried to tell them, let me do a giveaway to get people interested. And they're like, nope, they can order one. Okay, I tried. Let's see. Let's go back up here. Bob Shoemaker. Remotes will cut down the in and out moves and save some energy. Yes. That's always a plus. Jonathan, I talked to my aunt for a Oldsmobile picture, but she's on the west coast of Florida with my uncle who's helping with the cleanup from the hurricane. They won't be back until December. Sorry, I tried. That's okay. We can do it later. Colin, been a while. Glad to be tuning in tonight. Hey, everybody. Hey, Colin. Glad you're here. Colin. Okay. Simone, Barry, I have a I have a car question. What would you say would cause a dash of a car to shake heavily at 60 miles per hour? Okay, to make the so when you say the dash to shake, let's narrow that down a little bit more. Um, if you've got a vibration in the body, it can only come from the road. So, is it also in your steering wheel? Is part of the equation there, and that maybe you feel both at the same time. Typically, you could have a variety of problems. You could have wheel bearings that could be bad. You could have bad tires that at a certain speed they start to react differently to the highway speeds, uh, or you could have bad tie rod ends. You could have a bad idle arm. I would say possibly a pitman arm, but it's unlikely. But I've had that. I get that sensation in my Model A, and I could be driving at 30 miles an hour, hit 35, 37, and I start get this shake. So, checking the alignment is important. See what you got. Check for play in all the ball joints, tie rod ends, all that sort of thing, and try to narrow it down by doing one at a time. Some people will try to do everything all in one shot, and it's they miss something. So go through the process. Check air pressure. Check your bands on your tires. Tires will get old. You could break a band, and basically, if you feel along the surface of the tire, and you feel kind of a bump or a ripple, it's got a broken band in it, and it could be on the inside or the outside. So stuff like that can definitely cause problems. I know I had a little. It was a little Ford Ranger that had it had like 14-inch wheels on it, but it had these Firestone tires on it, and I was driving it, and at certain speeds it was fine. If I got it up above a certain speed, I started getting a similar sensation to what you're saying. I had this weird wobble shake thing, and sure enough, those tires had failed, and the tires were all out of shape. So check those things. See what you come up with. Good question, though. Crash Runner, I know you were short on time, but we'll be making a short video on using the winch. I probably will when I have the opportunity. Now, currently the Bronco is, when it's done, it's going out. So I'm not going to hook to it again and pull it in. But I may do it with something else, intentional, maybe one of the Mustangs or something, just to show it in action. But yeah, I will definitely do something with that. Terry, just FYI, my wife's birthday is this Saturday. The cats are planning a party for her. She is here. You could tell her happy birthday. Well, happy birthday in advance to Terry's wife. I would send you a pair of cats if I could, but I don't think I'd get away with that. So just as a gift, I would give you 2 cats and probably give you an additional, I don't know, $500 to take them. Yeah, I would do that. I would. Just saying. Jonathan says happy birthday to Terry's wife. So does Simone. Mr. Mikey, bad shocks will do it too. Good point. I didn't think about the shocks. But yeah, that's a good point. Lynn says transmission mount could cause shaking. That's a possibility. Troy could be an out of balance drive shaft, prop shaft, as Barry said. It could be a number of things. Yes. I've actually had, here's another one. Just another thought. Now that we talk about that, I've actually had a drive shaft seize. And what I mean by that is the U-joint locked up. Because the U-joints have to be able to pivot. They have to. If those things get in a fixed position and then suddenly they're giving a different task, they'll fight that. And you will get a vibration out of the drive shaft too. So, good point. Michael says drive shaft U-joint. Yep, there you go. Colin, quick car question. After getting my engine mounted and installed in the next few weeks, what would you recommend doing next? My plan is to start installing brakes and fuel lines and wiring. Thoughts? Okay. So, getting your engine mounted and installed. Uh, I assume, are you doing that yourself? First question. Second question, uh, you say you'd start installing the brakes and fuel lines and wiring. So let me just back up just a little bit. If you're going to be putting in new, are you putting in new brake lines altogether, or are you just doing exterior brake lines like hoses and stuff like that? If you're dealing with the hard lines, if you're replacing all that stuff, I would rather do it with the engine out. Get that done. Get it out of the way, so you're not having to fight with anything in your way. Uh, and then, fuel lines kind of similar. Look at that. Wiring, you could do it either way because there's no wiring that's going to be like typically underneath or behind the engine very much. So I don't see that being a problem. But I would definitely consider addressing the brake lines or anything else that will the engine will interfere with engine or transmission. So that's how I would approach that more than likely. Good question though. Simone, I checked the prop shaft, which is causing shake in the transmission tunnel, which I fixed. I suspect wheel balance and the tie bars. I mean, check the tires themselves too, because even if the tires aren't that old, they could still have a broken band in them. So have a look at that. Terry says you folks are invited. Okay, well, I don't know if there'll be enough cake or pie, but appreciate that. Someone says front shocks are new. Drive shaft is a two-piece. So, okay. Just you have to kind of narrow those things down. Bob Shoemaker, how long has your Harbor Freight lights worked until battery shuts down? That's a good question. I don't know. I never really keep track of the time because I have two of these all the time. So several hours for sure. I don't leave them on like constantly. I don't just turn them on and leave them run. I'll use them and turn them off. So I get a lot of use out of that battery. But I have not tried to like leave them on specifically. But that's why I have two of them. And actually I have two more. I have two brand new ones sitting on the bench waiting. But yeah, they last a good long time. They do. Colin, my much more experienced friend, is helping, but yes, installing it ourselves. Currently, all I have is a rolling chassis and glass. Okay. Well, then I would take care of the brake lines. That would be the first thing. Rick, my Harbor Freight light seems to work for about 6 hours. That's pretty good. Dawn, for me, the frequency of the vibration gives away the cause. Yeah, well, yeah, I get what you're saying there. Jonathan, kind of off topic, but having difficulty seeing my sandblast cabinet. Any recommendations? Yes, I do. In fact, I have a video. I think it might be on my other channel, on the my Joe Daddy's Workshop channel. I think it's on that channel where me and Robert, the Infernal Craftsman, upgraded the lighting inside of my little media cabinet that's sitting right there. So we upgraded the lighting in there, and it has helped a ton with being able to see. I don't know if I have. I don't know if it's on my workshop channel or if it's on the regular Joe Daddy's Garage channel. I feel like it's on my workshop channel, but I don't know for sure. But yeah, I do have a video out there for that. Colin, thanks. Appreciate it. I'll start getting my brake lines in order. Yes. Good call. Aaron, sometimes new just means not used or is an acronym for never ever works when it comes to parts. That makes sense. Glad you're here, Aaron. Dave Tyson says the hanger bearing. Talking about the, what do they call that? You might say hanger bearing. I lost a name. Carrier bearing. Carrier bearing. It could be that too. Simone says, thanks for your advice. I didn't realize a band could break. Yes. And she is headed out. Good night, all. Good night, Simone. Jonathan says, thank you. You're welcome. Yep. So good. Some good questions. Some good questions. And always open to more questions. If you have something you want to talk about, by all means, ask away, because that's what helps keep this going is questions. So, Troy, the video is on your workshop channel. I watched it 2 weeks ago. So thank you, Troy. So, Jonathan, if you go to my other channel, which is Joe Daddy's Workshop, and probably just search Blast Cabinet or something along those lines, you'll see there's a video I have there where we upgraded the lights in the Blast Cabinet, and it worked really, really well. So again, thank you, Troy. Tommy, we call it swing bearing. Okay. I know all I've ever heard it called was a carrier bearing, because I guess that's what it does. It carries the center shaft or whatever. I know that was one of the things when I put together the Franken truck. Some people didn't like the idea that I kept that setup. Like, that truck was an extended cab long bed, so it had 2 drive shafts, and whenever I shortened up the frame, I think I shortened it, I don't know, 23 inches or something. So when I shortened that up, I also I decided to keep the carrier bearing, and I shortened the front drive shaft. And a lot of people were like, "Well, you could just make one long drive shaft," and I really didn't like that idea. The reason for that in my case was the short shaft, or the short drive shaft, geometry stayed the same because it was pretty much flat, and then the secondary shaft was at an angle. And so my thought was, if I create a long drive shaft, that may cause more problems, because that's a long way to go for a drive shaft. And so that's what I did. I shortened up the shorter shaft, and then I feel like that took care of any geometry issues. Man, my nose is stuffed up. John says, thanks, guys. Dave Tyson, did you ever try your TIG welder? I did a little bit, and then I didn't. I actually sold it to Roger. Partly because I didn't see myself using it. I know most everything I do with a MIG, and I could not figure out what would make sense for me to use the TIG welder on. And then after I sold it to Roger, I had, of course, Yes Welder send me a couple different machines that are multi-function machines that have a MIG and a TIG built in. So I still have one. Actually, I have 2 at this point, but I have not really found a use or reason to use it. Good question, though. Thank you. Terry, what is the general thought on Hobo Freight English wheel? I had one of those at the body shop, and it worked. It did what we needed it to do. It just it wasn't as heavy maybe as some industrial brand, but for everything I was doing, it worked fine. It's just, now I will say, Greg's Workshop, if you haven't seen his videos, Greg is in Australia, and he usually chimes in on here. So if you haven't checked him out, go check out Greg Workshop. He built himself an English wheel. I don't have that much motivation, but he built this industrial, incredible English wheel. And that thing, I've never seen one built, or I'll say overbuilt, really, for what it's a heavy duty machine. He did a great job on that. So if you ever watch Greg when he's doing building something, I'm always kind of, I guess, surprised that I see him. He never welds with a hood on or glasses or goggles. He does all of his welding without a hood. I'm like, how are you doing that? And I think it's, he does it with the angle of, he's like aiming and letting the cup kind of block the arc, but I can't do that. I can't go hardly go outside without sunglasses on, even if it's overcast. I can't see uh, once I come inside, and I just can't. So I don't even take that chance when I'm welding or trying to weld something. Tommy had to replace one on my '59 Chevy. Yep. Yeah, they will wear out. Bob Shoemaker. Some parts books call it a propeller shaft support bearing. Interesting. I have not heard that. I mean, it makes sense, and it probably depends on the manufacturer of the manuals or books. Whether they have like the English might say prop shaft, like Simone says. Michael, do you recommend using a fiberglass filler over welds? I have used that. Yes, there are variations out there. Robert and I, the Infernal Craftsman, have had this discussion. Basically, the only place I use that is when I'm doing a sail panel, meaning the quarter panel, because on the Mustangs you got that wide band where it gets welded together, and it's hard to fill that. So I will prep that, and I will grind those welds to where they are rough. I want them as rough as possible, and then push in the fiberglass body filler. And when I get that where I like it, then I'll come back on top of it with the regular body filler. But they also do make a metal filler. I don't know what the name of it is, but there's a product out there. It's probably Evercoat that makes it, that uses supposedly some sort of metal within the body filler, and so it can be put on. It's supposed to be a really tough product. I have not used it. Good question. Jonathan, any thoughts on a spot welder? I think I might need one to put a Bronco tub together. I've not used a spot welder specifically, but I can see the value in it. Now, is one brand better than the other? I don't know. If I get one, it'll probably be something from Harbor Freight, just because it's right here, local, and it's not that expensive. I think the drawbacks are learning how much. I don't know if you can adjust the amperage or what, but how much amperage you really need to bond or weld those together, because I've seen spot welds on various panels, like even the Dynacore and stuff, where it looks like it's not even a 3/32 of an inch, like it's just a little tiny spot weld, and you compare that to the original car where it was probably 5/16 or better. I don't know that. I don't know that there. I can't say from a structural standpoint one is any better than the other, but for me, I prefer to have the bigger spot weld or bigger, contact. Uh, I've actually had people who did sheet metal work, and they were trying to weld holes together that were like just to get off track here a little bit. They were drilling holes in uh, where they were, let's say panels. Let's say how do I want to put this? Wheelhouses, where the inner wheelhouse meets the floor pan. They had drilled hole like 3/16 inch holes, and they were just filling that little tiny hole at 3/16. And I was like, no, 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 no. That thing will pop loose in a minute. You got to get a bigger surface area. But my thoughts with the spot welder is, you have to learn or figure out what amperage works best for what you're trying to put together. And then, of course, the prep work and all that sort of thing to make it happen. But I wouldn't mind having one. I've never bought one. Good question. can't breathe through my nose, by the way. Busted knuckle, Tommy. I have one from Harbor Freight that is heavy enough for what I do. Talking about the English wheel. Yes. For the most part, I don't think many of us are out here like who was it? Jesse James had his TV show where he was making gas tanks and stuff. Really complex compound curves, and he was, he'd be on his English wheel for seemed like hours trying to shape something. For me, I'm probably going to do something more small scale just to create a subtle curve or whatever. And most of the time when I'm doing something like that, it's not a compound shape. So I've got a one curve going. And honestly, what I'll do is I'll take like a piece of exhaust pipe, or I may use the gas bottle for the MIG welder, or anything that has a round. I may use a jack handle and just push that piece of metal around it to get the shape that I want. I think I may have demonstrated that when I did the front valance on Jade. I needed to have a curve for the shape to match that I was working on, and I did something like that. I took the air bottle or something and just pushed it around it. So there's multiple ways around doing those things. I've also seen people have a roller where you can feed a piece of metal in and get it to curve and create a rounded shape that you can manipulate. Battery burnout. All metal is the metallized filler. Okay. Thank you. And there's probably a variety of brands out there, but I do recall that. So thank you. Jonathan, thoughts on chassis coating? Not a fan of powder coating. Repairs are not possible. That's a good point. That is a good point. I have used Pour 15. I have used Chassis Saver. But I don't know what your end goal is. When you talk about repairs, what are you expecting to happen? Just in saying, if you're looking at the Bronco and you have a bent frame horn or something along those lines that you're going to replace, you're going to be grinding on that thing anyway. So kind of think of it that way. If it's something that you feel like you need to repair, what does the repair involve? How difficult is it, and how much preparation do you really need to do? Because you can grind off Chassis Saver or Pour 15. You can grind it off. So just kind of put it in perspective as to what you're looking at for what you may call repairs. Even if a crack happens, doesn't matter what your coating is, you're going to have to expose it. You're just going to have to expose it. Oh, so he's saying, I want to be able to touch it up every few years. Well, I get that. I get that. I know Pour 15 and Chassis Saver are some really, really, really tough stuff. Like, I know you don't want to get on your skin because it ain't coming off. So I haven't really tried to do touch-up work on that. I have not. Dave Britton says hello. Glad you're here, Dave. Dave Tyson ran a spot welder at Tonka Toys. Interesting. That would be probably a pretty small spot welder, I assume. Jonathan, I love using a spare trailer. Oh, it says trailer tire instead of an English wheel. That works. That works. That's a curve. Dawn. Carl at Make It Custom does great metal fab and has instruction videos. Very good. Thank you, Dawn. Terry says, thank you, Tommy and Barry. You're welcome. Jonathan, I want to be able to... okay, touch it up. Okay. Aaron says, maybe wool wax. I'm not sure what wool wax is. I haven't heard that term before. Maybe you can give us some more information. BDS, greetings from Illinois. Greetings, BDS. Yeah. I don't know if that storm we were talking about, I don't know where it all hit, But I think it was what Indiana got hit hard, and maybe Illinois too. I don't remember, but it was scary stuff. Michael Paglarini, I've been using SEM 45504 on plow trucks for many years. Now I have been using it inside my frame rails. Okay, so there's an option uh, for Jonathan. You can look up SEM 45504, see if that works. BDS is coming again tomorrow. Yeah, stay safe. Stay safe. Woolbacks are a lanolin-based product like fluid film. Okay, yeah, I don't know if that's what he's. I get it now that you say that. I don't know if that's what he wants. I think he's. I don't know what his intent is. If he's taking it off road, he's thinking about knocking stuff loose, um, and I don't know if that would suffice for what he's looking for. But he says, "Thanks, Aaron." Yes, that may very well may work. But I have not tried that. Oh, here's something else, and I kind of hesitate to even bring this one up. Um, 2 years ago my brother passed away. 2 years ago, and it's become a really awkward situation with his, we'll say, widow. Well, we'll not go into details with any of what I think on that, but uh, basically, she has decided now to sell off all of my brother's stuff, everything, like everything, and there is she's holding an auction at their residence. Um, and one of the things that they're selling is his 64 Studebaker that he's had. Well, basically, it was actually my dad's car. And my brother took it over, and he drove it off and on for years. Uh, but yeah, she's selling off his stuff, and one of these items is his Studebaker. So I've been debating on this, whether it's worth it for me to try to get this car, and then with that debate, whether I want to overall make that investment. Because I'm into Mustangs and a variety of other things, but the Studebaker is kind of personal, and it's almost like you get upset with people for their choices, and really you shouldn't. It's hard to isolate away from that and say, it's their choice at this point. But I've been looking at the possibility of getting or trying to buy his old car, and it's a struggle again because one, do I want it? What purpose do I want it for? Is it for just to have it, or would I want it to fix it up again, or would I just want it to resell it? I don't know. I don't know. I've been struggling with that. Uh, the car itself is. I see Dave ask what shape is the Studebaker now. It's not in the best of shape. It's. He had it painted. What was it? Probably 83, 82 maybe, somewhere in that time period, and it's never been repainted, and it's paint's coming off in different areas. It is a two-door sedan, uh, so it's kind of a. I think I have a picture of one up here somewhere. So that's a four-door, but it's that body style. So, but it's a 64 uh, Commander or whatever, and I realize now I looked up the number on it, and the car itself. It's a late production 64, meaning it was made in Canada. Now, if I don't know for sure, but the car has a 4-speed in it, and I don't know if it was a factory 4-speed or not. I don't have the actual production numbers to look that up, but it was a 2-door sedan. Uh, with it has a 4-speed in it currently, and it's got a probably, well, it's either a 259 or 289 engine that Studebaker produced. So, but it's just kind of one of those things. I have memories of that car. I have memories of riding in that car with my brother, but I also have memories of riding in 100 other cars with my brother. And it's just one of those kind of things that torment you. It's like, well, is it? Should I? Do I? I don't know yet. Uh, but the auction is going on right now, and it's probably going to be uh, ending in a couple days, or maybe tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow. I don't know. So I'm debating on that too. And the problem too is a time period, because I've got I've got cars, I got stuff here to build, and that I'd have to go get this thing. So I'm just kind of just uh, struggling with the whole concept right now. Okay, so back to Jonathan says he says thanks, Aaron, and it will be a daily driver, and I don't have to remove the body. Don't want to have to remove the body to touch it up. Talking about the Bronco. Sorry for your loss. Thank you. Appreciate that. Very unexpected passing. Aaron, will you kick yourself if you don't get it? That's a valid question, and the, there's a lot of what ifs, uh, and then there's also the how do I put it? The animosity, the struggle we've had dealing with his widow. I'll be blunt about it. She's been very off-putting, and uh, so it's, on one hand, it leaves you a really bad taste in your mouth for even being involved with it. But then it's like, well, this was a cool thing, and then it's like, well, what do I do with it? And then it's like, do I want to spend money on something else, and where do I put it? And there's a ton of variables. So I will say I am bidding on the car, but I if it goes uh, high enough, whatever, that I don't want to spend the money on it, that's fine. I'll just live with it. Welder 4956. Hello all. Hello Welder. Jonathan, anyone in this group live close to you that you trust, and maybe they get it for you so she won't know if that's the problem? No, that's not the problem. That's not the problem. Uh, I'm not worried about, because it's through an auction house, and I think honestly, only thing she cares about is making money. She doesn't care who gets it or who spends it. She just wants to make sure she has it. That's the way I see it, which is part of the whole. Yeah, I won't go there. But anyway, yeah, I'm not worried about that. Battery burnout. Studebaker sounds like a great project car. It could be. It could be. Uh, Dave Britt, 2-door on its own is rare. Most are 4-door. Yeah. And like I said, I don't know for sure if it's a factory 4-speed or not. I don't know. Um, but it has a 4-speed in it. Has a 4-speed in it. Terry, if you bid, would she sell it to you? Have Roger bid on it? Yeah, I don't. Like I said, I don't think she cares about that. You know, uh, I just, yeah. Roger, my son lives near there. I think we could work out an arrangement to get it. Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, I know that the auction says you only have like a couple days after the auction's over to get the thing, which I can manage. I can figure that out. But we'll see what happens. Jonathan, I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, thank you. Dave Tyson says bid on it. I am bidding on it. I do have a bid on it. Dave Britton says, what color is it? Well, originally it was a pretty dark blue. Pretty dark blue with a medium blue interior. Uh, but yeah, it's not blue right now. But it was blue factory blue. Crash letter finding the story you told about the fellow visiting tornadoes sounds made me think that that might be something your late brother would do. Oh, it would be. Oh yeah, I could actually see him laughing about it and doing the same thing. Doing the same thing. BDS, did they charge fees to the buyer? Yes, 18%. 18%. Woohoo! Really nice of them. Daybread and many were green. Yeah, I don't know exactly what the uh, color was, what the name of it was, the factory. Uh, I'll have to see if I can. I'm trying to look at some pictures of it, or of those cars. But I know it was a dark blue. In fact, let me just back up a second here. I see if I have some old pictures on the side here. Um, no, not that one. I probably don't have it up here because I had some pictures from the old junkyard, and in one of the pictures in the background was that Studebaker. So these are pictures I showed before. These are the tank my dad had. Mangling cars with a tank. Um, but somewhere in my picture files, I've got a photo of that car in the background. And what's interesting, um, the Michael says money changes people. Ask me how I know. Yeah, 18%. Yep. Terry, bearing with you what you're doing. Sorry for your loss. Thank you, sir. Is it a standard and not? It is just a standard and not a Daytona. No, I believe it is a Daytona. I believe it is a Daytona. I was trying to. Yeah. Let me see if I can. God, my head is so stuffed up. I'm gonna try to pull up a picture here. If it'll let me open it. Nope, can't open that picture. Anyway, um, I don't know. I can't remember what the color was, but it's a dark blue was the original color. And like I said, a two-door sedan. So it has the post, which I don't like the post. I like the hardtop better, but it is what it is. Not like you're gonna cut it off and change it. I was trying to see if we had a sedan picture available. Yeah, I don't see any. Jonathan, when my aunt's father passed away to keep the kids from fighting over his things, pretty morbid to think this way, but if he died closest to someone's birthday, Packard or Oldsmobile or 48 Harley. I guess there's more to that conversation than I can see. Dave says, "Nice, yeah. I mean, it has definitely has potential. Um, I have a story of that car that when he was probably 17 when he was driving the thing, and he the car itself had, whether it's a 259 or 289, um, he had put a supercharger on it. So, well, let me see if I can. Nope, that can't do that either. Why would it do that? It won't let me save the image the way I want to save it. But anyway, he put a supercharger on this thing, and the we were driving down this long straight road, and I was in the passenger seat. I was probably 11 years old, would be my guess. And he had, apparently you could rig the supercharger up to a switch. So whether it worked like a clutch on the air compressor, like, for the air conditioning, I don't know. But somehow he had it rigged to a switch. That's all I remember. And we were flying down this road, and I don't. My mind is telling me we were like in third gear, and moving pretty quickly. And I don't remember all the details specifically. All I know is he said, "Are you ready?" And I said, "Ready for what?" And he reached over and flipped that switch, and the car went broadside down this 2-lane road. Just kicked it broadside immediately. And I remember being in the passenger seat looking out the window of that car and the yellow lines coming underneath the door. That's how it was crazy. And then he got a hold of it, straightened it out, and we were flying. I have no idea how fast we were going, but it was moving. It was moving. Charles, just getting here. Heads up if you didn't see part schedule arrive tomorrow. I'm not sure if that's to you, freight terminal, or next stop. Yeah, I saw that in an email. But we'll have to. Hopefully they call me. We get it narrowed down. Lynn, if the car was your dad's and then your brother's, wouldn't it be fitting that you should have the car next? Just my opinion. It is, but also I have to put it into a broader perspective because my dad had a junkyard. So there were thousands of cars that, in essence, were something he had that my brother drove and I drove and my sisters drove. So there's lots of that around it as well. Now, the unique thing is it is a Studebaker, and that it has it's a V8 4-speed car, or at least I believe it to be an original 4-speed car. But I don't know. I assume it still has a supercharger on it. I don't know for sure. Last time I saw that car was about 3 years ago. I was visiting him, and I saw the car, and I said, "Oh man!" I actually told him. I said, "You should let me fix this up for you." And he said, "No." He said it was too rough, and that he said if he did anything to it, he would just kind of rat rot it. And I'm like, okay, I get it. And then that was it. So, anyway. Don had a similar dilemma. Had to let my grandfather's car go. Just don't have the space for his 64 Caddy Coupe de Ville. Only had 70,000 miles on it. It was original and near perfect. Yeah. That it's difficult. Like I have my grandfather's Model A sitting in my garage. And that was, my grandfather, my dad drove it. I drove it, the kids all of us kids rode in it, stuff like that. So it's there as well. Jonathan, they would get cars and things based on how close he passed away to the birthday. He had far too much. He sold one farm to Walmart. He did all his steel work for the Utz potato chip factory. Okay, cool. Dave Britton, the Paxton Supercharged Studebaker was the closest thing to the Cobra back then. Yeah. Oh, they were fast. Yeah. And here's kind of the odd thing overall is there was a time, and I have to tell you, my dad and my brother fought against each other all the time. But I'd shown a car before that was at the junkyard, and I think it may be gone. It was this car right here. So that was a 64 Daytona with the R1 Avanti engine in it. That car, I did my research on that car in particular, and it was one of only 3 made that had a bunch of crazy options in it. This car was a factory V8 with the R1 Avanti package. It had the automatic transmission. It had the big, I think they called it, well, it was a big positive rear end. Uh, what did they call it? Twin traction, I think is what they called it. So it had the big rear end in it. This car had factory power disc brakes, factory air conditioning, power steering, and a factory AM/FM radio. It was a 4-door with bucket seats and a center console. That was a dealer optioned vehicle that was sold later on because it was meant to be a display type of car. It was like, this is what you can get. So on that car also, that car I showed had the speedometer went up to 160 miles an hour in that car. So the my brother, he took the speedometer out of that car, and it's in his Studebaker. He put that 160 speedo in his 64 car, and the idea at some point was he wanted to take all of those components and put them in that car. Now at this point, I think the other car I think it's gone. I think that it just got pulled out of there and is destroyed, which is very unfortunate. But so there's no chance of that happening again. Terry says, if you ship the cats, please don't use FedEx. Okay. Jonathan, if you get the car, will you rat rod it like your brother wanted? I don't know that I could, honestly, because I can't see it as a rat rod. I really can't. I just don't see it. It doesn't work in my mind to do that. Rick the Widow should have offered the Studebaker to your family before going to any auction. I hope you make a decision which works for you. Yeah, the weird part about it is it was offered to me. I'll say that. And then it never got, like, that conversation never continued. Like, it just got weird. It all went downhill. The whole situation went downhill and all that. So really hard to understand some of the logic. Leonard, late to the show. How's everyone doing? Glad you're here, Leonard. Give you a late bell. Jonathan, man, I wish we were neighbors. I would be over every night. Yeah. I get a lot of people that say that. A lot of people that say that. I'm trying to see if I have a good picture I can pull up, but I can't seem to find a good one. Let me see if this will work. This might work. See if I can get this. Yeah, this will work. Now, this obviously isn't the car or the condition it's in, but it looks very similar to that. Very, very similar to that. Now, that's actually a R2 model with a supercharger on it. And so, but that's basically the car that he has or had. Okay, so let me get this, pull that back down. Okay, so Charles, sorry off topic, but latest delivery update is trailer blank is loading at Atlanta, Georgia, USA. Destination is listed as Fayetteville. Best of luck on Studebaker. Well, again, let's hope they call me. let's just hope they call me because I don't know what else to do. Robert, I'm really late. Was working on a friend's ATV and we had dinner. I just got back home and our internet is finally back up after 2.5 days. Yay! Glad you're here, Robert. Glad you're here. Jonathan, I made a set of a set of dimple dies the other day. Any thoughts of how I can set up a jig to reproduce for a buddy? No. I don't have any advice on you for that one. Car guy Troy checking in. Don't see many Studebakers around. I always thought the Hawk was kind of cool. Yeah. Well, I prefer I like the 53, 54 Commanders myself. That's probably the coolest looking Studebaker, in my opinion. Uh, you compare those to any car made in 53, 54, and they don't compare. They just don't. Oh, wait, here's another. There's another. That's another 64. I forgot I had those pictures. Somebody else had sent me those pictures. Yeah, and These are all like fully decked out. That's a 63. But yeah, that's the 64. Pretty nice styling. Not a bad looking car. Ray Buckman, hey all, have a great night, week, Barry. You'll figure out what to do with Stu. The right decision is already in your head. Thank you, Ray. Appreciate that. Phil, have you worked with copper nickel brake lines before? If so, any hints? I have worked with those. I think I put some of those on the back of Jade. They bend real easy. That much I know. And I don't remember if I had any trouble flaring them or not. I don't think I did. But they bent really easy. Jerry checking in. Howdy, Barry. Howdy, y'all. Sorry Robert was late. I would stay, but we finally got internet back after it being out all weekend. Okay. I guess you're gaming, maybe? Is that what it is? Game night? I guess. Okay, anyway. I'm going to have to go. It's late, and voice is starting to get a little more rough, so I think I'm going to call it a night. Thank you for the input on everything and the ideas. We talked about, of course, the thoughts on the Studebaker and all that stuff. It's a difficult decision, but we'll see what happens. It's one of those where I'll bid it to a certain point, and we'll see if it works. It works. If it doesn't, I'll move on. Let's see, Jonathan. Phil, I have done copper lines for when I built gas stations. We would fill them with sand for outbends so they would kink. Oh, there you go. Okay, so I'll be back next Monday. I don't think there's any reason I wouldn't be. I am working on finishing up the prep work for painting the grill for the Bronco, and then, of course, getting the rest of it ready. In fact, I went to the hardware store today, Tractor Supply, bought some bolts because I'm going to put temporary bolts in the door hinges because when I paint everything, I don't want to put the nice bolts in there and mess them up. Those will be coming back out, and then you know what I'm getting at. So, details. Always about the details with what I do, and I try to cover as much as I can when I do this stuff and make it right. So that'll be it. And again, thank you all for being here. And until next time, take care of yourselves. See ya.